Timothy was a young and inexperienced pastor. He was a follower of Paul, and he wrote, when Paul wrote many of his letters. In fact, some were acknowledged to be from both Paul and Timothy. Timothy was Paul's traveling companion, and no doubt Paul was a mentor to Timothy, who had been appointed by Paul to be a pastor of the church of Ephesus. In verse 12, Paul gives Timothy several areas by which he should be an example. This advice is something all Christians should follow. Paul wants Timothy to be a pastor who sets an example for his congregation. We're fortunate to have a pastor who sets this as example. I've never met anyone more productive than Father Paddy. Just try following him around for a week. I doubt if any of us could physically or mentally have the stamina to do what he does. There are some key points today from this reading. This is Paul's advice to Timothy, but it's advice all of us could follow. Do not let your age or any characteristic cause others to dismiss or think less of you. That goes for old people too. Be a model for other believers in all aspects of your life. Your words should be positive, uplifting, and encouraging. Your daily actions and choices should reflect a godly lifestyle. Demonstrate love for others, similar to how Christ loves his church. Allow your faith to be visible and influential in how you live your life. Make positive choices that reflect a pure heart in life. This young pastor became the bishop of Ephesus. He was stoned to death for trying to stop a pagan festival. As I reflect on Timothy, I cannot help but think about Carlo Acutis, one of our first millennial saints, who I believe was put on this earth to speak to generations about Christians in the Eucharist. I say generations because his young life was a testament to the power of faith, encouraging others, both young and old, to live righteously. He never wasted a minute of his short life. In his own words, after he was diagnosed with leukemia, he said, "I offer my suffering to the Pope and the Church." He told his mother his leukemia was purgatory on earth. He always directed any fame he achieved to God. Not me, he would say, but God. He said, sadness is looking to self, and happiness is looking toward God. The plan of his life was always walking toward Jesus. Carlo was born in London, England. He was raised in Milan and buried in Assisi, where his body often is on display for veneration. I watched a documentary on St. Carlo called I Am With You. I urge you to watch it because you will hear in the words of young people from around the world on how the life of this young man has brought them to faith in Jesus and a belief in the real presence of the Eucharist. There's a new generation of devotees to Carlos Acutis. You will hear from young people from Ireland, Poland, the Philippines, Nigeria, and East Germany, which East Germany is almost 90% communist. The priests there said the youth were flocking to the Catholic Church because of the influence of this young man. God had a plan for St. Paul and for Timothy, as well as St. Carlos Acutis. God has a plan for Most Holy Trinity. We have a new ministry in our church being led by the Family Life Team, which exists to support and enrich the spiritual and communal life of young families and young adults in our parish. They're striving to create opportunities for connection, formation, and fellowship that extends beyond Sunday Mass. Through these events, faith-based programs, and community outreach, they aim to help families grow closer to one another, become more deeply rooted in our parish life, and draw nearer to Christ. Their first event is a trunk or treat in the parish parking lot on October the 28th. They will be asking for donations of Halloween candy and treats for this event. This is a wonderful opportunity for our church. We must encourage and gently guide and support our youth and give them every resource and occasion to lead them towards sainthood. I pray that this new awakening of this generation will continue to grow our church in love, the love of Jesus and the love of the Eucharist. Thank you.